If you've been following my videos, you've heard me mention working with partners. I promised we'd go into that more, and that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to define each partner by the role they play. A working partner is someone who does the work, such as the lead generation, the marketing, etc. A credit partner is someone who has access to credit, possibly some cash, and may or may not do any of the work. An equity partner has a financial interest, which is usually defined as an equity percentage, but doesn't do any of the work. And finally, a cash partner, who can function in any capacity because they can access large amounts of cash very quickly. When most people think of partnerships, they think of 50-50. A few sayings that come to mind for me are "you cook and I'll clean," or "you fly, I'll buy," which means you go get the ice cream and I'll pay for it. You may recall in the video where we married the entrance and exit strategies that I mentioned a wholesaler with a cash partner could purchase properties at an auction. That's the "you fly, I'll buy" mentality. A worker partner and a cash partner. I've done this and it works great, especially if you've been unable to have a conversation with the seller or they're just dead set on not resolving their issue. You and your cash partner can have an agreement ahead of time. You attend and bid on the property at the auction, and if you are the successful bidder, then the cash buyer pays for the property. Another partnership might be a working partner and a credit partner. That's a "you cook and I'll clean" mentality. Both are involved and work as a team, but each has unique duties. I've also done this successfully. I did the work to acquire the property. The partner obtained the loan for the purchase and the rehab. I oversaw the rehab work through to completion, and since I was a realtor, I listed the property for resale. There could also be a hybrid of these, a working partner with both a cash and a credit partner. I have also executed this, but I'll admit the first time I did it was by happenstance, and I'll tell you a story about that in a moment. Earlier, I said an equity partner has only a financial interest, which is typically defined as an equity percentage in the partnership, but doesn't do any of the work. This is the partner who has money but no time. I alluded to this in an earlier lesson where I mentioned a turnkey property listed on the MLS would really only be suited for an investor who has the money or credit but no time. This is where an equity partner could come into play since their interest is strictly financial and they aren't involved in the day-to-day operations. Keep in mind, though, that an equity partner can be used in any type of partnership. So now for my story. I'd been in the business like 5 or 6 months. It was a pre-foreclosure and I knew one of the neighbors, so the next time I saw them, I asked if they'd be interested in buying a house on their street at a discount. They didn't have the cash, but they did have the ability to get the loan. I was already working with a cash partner, so we bought the house at the foreclosure auction for $235,000 and sold it to my contact for $270,000. One day, while I was at the house, in between the auction and the closing to the credit partner, another neighbor approached about how we knew about the pre-foreclosure and were able to purchase it at the auction. We got to talking, and they were in a 2-story, but they wanted this style instead. So to keep a long story short, I was able to work out the sale between the credit partner and that neighbor for $318,000. This whole process took about 5 months. Purchased at the courthouse for $235,000, resold as is for $270,000, then wholesaleed it for $318,000. That's an $83,000 profit from beginning to end. Of course, there were some fees involved in that, and I did not receive the entire profit, obviously. And I honestly don't recall what I earned, but it was a handsome profit on both ends of the deal. In that case, I had a cash partner and a credit partner, and I was the working partner who glued it all together. While that may seem like an advanced mixture of strategies, I hadn't been involved in investing for very long, and I simply stepped into the opportunities as they presented themselves. I think one of the most important elements before deciding to enter into a partnership, sometimes referred to as a JV or joint venture, is that you share common goals. For instance, if one partner wants to only do rehabs and the other wants rentals, can you agree on a hybrid of rehabs and rentals, maybe the BRRRR strategy, or maybe do a rehab and use the profit towards a rental and repeat that, rehab, rental, rehab, rental. Once you have an agreement on that aspect, then you should define the goals and the roles for the partnership and each partner. What strategies do you want to implement? How many properties do you want to do? Will you do gut rehabs or will you keep it simple? And what about the profits? What will be reinvested or paid out to each of you? You also need to define each partner's roles. Who will do lead generation, marketing, funding, rehab work, oversight of the rehab if you hire a GC, advertising, property management, etc. You get the picture. There aren't any hard and fast answers here, but some type of agreement needs to be reached and formalized in writing. Trust me on that, I learned the hard way. That agreement could be a partnership agreement, an LLC, or perhaps you do a multi-member LLC and hold the property as tenants in common with first right of refusal. This used to be a great way for those wanting to do 1031 exchanges, but check with your attorney and tax professionals because tax laws are always changing and make your decision based on their advice. Keep in mind the agreement can and should be revisited and revised when deemed necessary. My objective of this video was to help you understand how the use of partners can create opportunities you may not have considered, especially if you don't have cash or credit. But now you may be thinking, that's great, but where do I find these partners? So I'm glad you asked. You need to go where the partners will be. Cash partners will definitely be at the auctions, but if you locate your local RIA, the Real Estate Investor Associations, attend some meetings, network, you'll definitely find the cash, credit, and the equity partners. I admit that I did go into many deals without knowing exactly how it would unfold, but I always had the attitude that if I didn't know the answer, I knew I could find it. You have the advantage of being able to reach out to our community for support and guidance. Let me know any thoughts or questions in the comments, or feel free to share how a partnership you've been part of has helped homeowners revitalize properties and increased prosperity. See you soon.